Hello everyone, it's Ben from the Show to give you another review today, and it is Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget. Now, this is 23 years in the making, and it is a sequel to the well-loved 2000 hit Aardman's Chicken Run. This time, Rocky and Ginger have escaped to the farm, as at the end of the first film, and are now setting up a life for themselves on an island with the rest of the gang from the first film. Now, this time, this stars, I can't pronounce her name, somebody Newton anyway, and Zachary Levi, they replace Mel Gibson and Julia Swala as Ginger and Rocky. So according to Julia Swala, she wasn't even asked back for this film, and neither was Mel Gibson. Now, Mel Gibson has some baggage with him, but most of the background cast are back. Imelda Staunton, Jane Horrocks, Lynn Ferguson as Mac. You do have some changes of Fletcher and Nick, played by Ramesh Ranganathan and Daniel Mays. David Bradley plays Fowler. So you do have some changes, but if the director said it was his call to change the leads. It was his call because he wanted a different voice, because it's a different Ginger. I'm sorry. So she said he wanted a kind of a different voice for Ginger. Well, I'm not being funny. You can make voices and change the pitch. It's an animated film. And you know, you brought back Imelda Staunton. So if Julius Weiler is too old to play Ginger because of the way the voice is, which I beg to differ. And why is the director's choice to change the lead, but you're keeping Imelda Staunton, who plays Babs, and Jane Horrocks, who plays Bunty, and Jane Horrocks, who plays Babs. You're changing the leads, and all they're doing, these two leads, they do very well, but they're pale imitations of Julius Weiler and Mel Gibson. Zachary Levi does a very good job of trying to be Rocky, and he does a very good job. And I'm afraid Newton doesn't have that gravitas, that drive in her voice that Julius Weiler made her own in Chicken Run. She just doesn't have it. You just know they're trying to do an imitation. And for me, it brings me out of it. Like, the director actually said it was his choice not to ask Julius Weiler back. It's his choice, he made it, and it was the director's choice. Well, I think he made the wrong choice. Julius Weiler wasn't even asked, do you want to come back? She just wasn't asked, and she felt slighted by that. Obviously, Mel Gibson, you can take or leave because he's got some baggage, but Julius Weiler deserved the chance to replay that character. Sorry, I had to cut there. There's someone at my door. So, as I was saying, Julia Swallow wasn't even asked back, and she was a bit slighted by that. So, director's choice, was it the wrong choice? I mean, it wasn't Nick Park directing it. I'm not quite sure who was directing it, but I think they brought in a director. I'm not quite sure. It must have a deal with Netflix or something, because this is a Netflix film. So, also, let's talk actually about the film. Basically, they live on the island from the end of the first film, and they have Rocky and Ginger have a girl chick called Molly, and Molly doesn't want to be on the island anymore. She wants to explore. She's like her mum, wants to get up and go and do something, and she doesn't want to be on the island anymore, so she escapes and leaves. Where it's a bit weird, really, because the first film is a rip-off of The Great Escape, whereas the second film, and it felt good, it just felt like it had a purpose. Whereas in this film, you're retreading, family must save daughter, must save son trope, with like Chicken Run jokes spliced in, because a sequel has to have family, and it has to, expand the universe of something. It felt a bit same old with Chicken Run characters. It was very good, and the jokes landed, and it was funny. And the Molly meets a chicken called Fizz, who she becomes friends with a Liverpool accent, You know, and it is, you know, ties into the first film very well. I'll say no more than that. And it is good, but it doesn't feel as dangerous, doesn't feel as dark and gritty as the first film. It feels bright. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't. I think it has a lot to do with, and I've said it before, the fact that Julius Weiler's voice doesn't have that realism to it, that real human. I'm playing with a chicken with human feelings to it. It just feels like somebody's trying to play Ginger, who's trying to play Julius Weiler's voice the best she could, to not make it sound different. Because, you know, Zachary Levi playing Rocky doesn't sound like the Zachary Levi from Shazam. You know, he's trying to do a similar version, voice to Mel Gibson. Like, you get things like Boss Baby cartoon trying to sound similar to Alec Baldwin, who plays Boss Baby in the movies, but he doesn't do the cartoon version. You know, you've got Tom Hanks' brother does all the toys for Toy Story, but it's not actually Tim Allen, does it? Tom Hanks' brother does all the Toy Story merchandise voiceover for Woody. It felt like a knockoff. If you could get Julius Weiler back and she was happy to come back, then do it. I do like the casting of Bella Ramsey, who seems to be literally everything at the moment, as Molly. She has that drive, that get up and go. I mean, I did think that her voice kind of changed in certain words, trying to have an accent and then sounding like Bella Ramsey and then sounding like the character. Her voice didn't exactly keep to the same tone all the time. It changed. A bit like Ramesh Ranganathan playing Nick. Sometimes he sounded like the person Timothy Spall, and sometimes in certain words he sounded like Ramesh Ranganathan. You know, it was a bit jarring sometimes. The film itself is good. The story itself is good, but it's been told a million times. And there are a decent amount of jokes. Babs' jokes are hit because it is, you know, Jane Horrocks, and how Imelda Staunton gets that voice. If that is altered to sound like that, then why couldn't, if it's altered, why couldn't they do that for Julius Weiler? But I do like the film. I think they have got decent actors to play decent roles. And I do like the film. There is a very good joke using Cliff Richard. I'm not going to say no more than that. You know, and I do like it. It is imaginative. It is good. It does just feel like though you're watching stand-ins play the original characters, with some guest people playing the original characters like Babs and things. I just don't know. I like it. That it was a good try, but I'm going round in circles, so I'm going to bore people. But it's a good try. It's also one more thing before I go. It doesn't feel. They say in the documentary that's on YouTube that they didn't change the animation or anything. They just cleaned it up. But it does feel computerized, even though it isn't. Like there's a filter, like everything's brighter, you know, because everything feels brighter because it's being cleaned up in the computer after they've done the animation, stock animation themselves. It's been cleaned up. They said they kept the finger marks and things, but they cleaned it up. But that's made the whole picture brighter, and I'm just not quite sure I like it. But other than that, it is a good film, other than the casting issue that I have, and I probably ranted on about it a bit too much. I think they did the best casting they could. If they were going to change it, I have no problems with what the actors they got in tried to do. They tried to mimic the original voices the best they could, but in some cases you can tell. I couldn't, but other than that, it was a good movie, good try, and they may end up by doing sort of a mini cartoon thing at some point, I imagine, the way it set up the ending. So, yeah, Bella Ramsey is in another good thing. She's had The Last of Us this year, and that thing with Jodie Whittaker that's supposed to be pretty good on BBC, so I haven't seen that either. But yeah, I'm going to go now. And if you like this review, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye!